Opinions expressed on this radio program do not necessarily reflect the views of this radio station.
My friends and I always tune into the Todd Levitt Law Show. Todd is entertaining, informative, and always delivers the goods.
Todd might not tell you what you want to hear, but he's going to tell you what you need to hear. And all you got to do is listen.
Hold on, Todd. Don't let go. It's time for the Todd L. Levitt Law Show.
Welcome to the Todd L. Levitt Marijuana Law Podcast. Good morning, good evening, and good night. I'm yours truly, attorney Todd L. Levitt, broadcasting and podcasting from the middle of the mitten in a beautiful green nutrient field in the Black Diamond Group mothership with my good friend, no poem required. People always ask me why I say that, Craig. Craig Russell, the hustle, the muscle. How you doing, Craig?
I know why they say that, because they don't know what the hell you're talking about. What are you talking about?
You know, half the time, I don't know what I'm talking about.
I know. It's this silly poem you have where you're talking about loving the sky and the water's blue and I love you and something like that and yada yada yada. I don't know. I never know what you're talking about.
That was close.
Something
no,
like
the
that.
poem goes, the water is wet, the sky is blue, and Craig Russell, we love you.
Okay. Yeah, sure.
That is corny.
It is totally corny, but totally get it.
It's not corny that we opened up the show. After Nickelback last week, we had to come back strong. I took a little flack for that, and I'll state it again on the record. I love Nickelback, but today, Green Day, just one of my all-time favorites, period. We opened up with Oh Yeah, which is sort of a take-off on who, Craig? Joan Jett, right?
Yeah, Joan Jett and the Blackhearts. When you first were playing that for me, I'm like going, well, I know it's male, and it sounds like Green Day, but it also sounds like Joan Jett and the Blackhearts. What's that all about?
It's just a cool tune that came across my noggin last week as I was listening in my truck as I was on my way to and from court. I said, "Oh, that song's that's definitely going on the show for sure."
They've got some new stuff out too. Green Day does. I've not heard it yet, but I've heard of it. Yeah, but you're a big Green Day fan, correct?
Love Green Day. Yeah, absolutely.
Have you seen them in concert before? Have you ever seen them like in Detroit? Didn't they?
No, I'm waiting for you to get me some tickets. You're with the radio. Give me some tickets, Craig. Come on.
Yeah, let me see what I can do about that. Okay.
Let me be the 10th caller because I know that you don't really count 1 through 10. So you just we're going to take the 10th caller here, and then you look over across the room, and then eventually you look at the phones lit up and say, okay, you're the 10th caller.
You, sir, are a liar. That is not true. You can get in big trouble for doing that. I think I told you the story before, but I worked with a guy who would do that, who would just randomly take callers not to go through the numbers of them, and he got busted once and got fired for it. So no, you've got to take the 10th caller or whatever caller. Sometimes it's fun when you work at a station and you do like the 100th caller because it's a big contest for like a big prize or something. Sitting there having to answer 100 calls, it's a pain, but you have to do it.
Yeah, I recall back in the day growing up in the 70s listening to 101, the Pooh Bah down there in Detroit. And then you would have dial phones. So when you were trying to be the 10th caller, you would take the dial tone, well, not the dial tone, but you would take the little dial thing you turn, and then you're trying to push it back as fast as you could. Then you go to the next number, back and forth. And then they came out with push button telephones, and I thought my chances would improve to win, anything. nothing. And here I am now affiliated with the Black Diamond Group, and I can't get Craig Russell to pick me as a 10th caller. Remember back in the day, Craig, when you could spend a penny and you would send it to, what was it, Columbia Records, and get, 2,000 CDs in the mail, or what was that?
It was used to be able to get like 10 cassettes or albums for a penny, and then you just had to pay the full price for like one of them. And you had a whole bunch you'd choose from. Remember that? And then some people, they would let you charge the full amount. So all you had to do was send a penny to them, to the Columbia House. Yeah, they're not in business anymore for a reason, because you can't.
Yeah, I just recall friends of mine from Berkeley High sitting around a lunchroom and filling out those forms for other individuals other than themselves. So, and those were the same friends of mine that we put all those for sale signs out on that one house that we were talking about 3 weeks ago.
You know what? You're taking me way back here. First place, you're talking about the rotary dial phone and trying to win contests with a rotary phone. And now we're talking about Columbia House. You remember in magazines, they used to have those little cards in the middle of magazines where you'd rip it out and you'd send it away for something? They don't do that anymore. There's none of that stuff in magazines anymore. Those little, used to be able to, you'd get a half a dozen of those cards where you could send it away for the Columbia's House thing, or you could send it away for a free pair of slippers or something like that. They don't do that crap anymore.
Yeah, I do recall that. I also recall asking my mom to buy me a certain type of cereal so I could get the little toy in it, and I would just bring it home and just dump out the entire box just so I could get the little toy.
Well, they still do the little toys in cereal. That's one of the things that has actually survived. But remember,
Craig, are you serious?
I'm dead serious. No, you can get.
Come on, Craig.
No, come on, Todd. Come on,
Craig. Get out of here. I'm shutting down the show. I'm going to the grocery store. There's some toys I never got.
No, you're not.
And now I'm old enough to buy all that sugar cereal.
Yeah.
I'm going to be on a proverbial tear this afternoon.
Yeah, now you're an adult with your own money, man. You could go buy 20 boxes of those cereals to try and get the toys.
Who cares about the cereal? Just give me the darn toy that's in the bottom of it.
Hey, did you ever have Legos growing up?
Yeah, I did have Legos. In fact, do you know how popular Legos are right now?
They are so popular. Unbelievable.
No, I mean, they are like holy crap popular. If anyone out there, and there's plenty of listeners that are going to know exactly what I'm talking about, have an e-commerce store, and you could find a set of Legos and sell it, I mean, you're going to make some money.
There's a lady in Germany who's in a wheelchair, and her husband make Lego ramps, and she sells them to places in the town that she lives in so she can then get up into their store, because they don't have ADA stuff like we do here. So she'd have a hard time getting into these storefronts and in these shops. So her and her husband would take glue and they'll make ramps out of Legos. And they put them down and she can use them to wheel up and wheel into the store. And they've made like 400 of these Lego ramps. It's really cool.
Well, that's just certified. There's a new show on TV called Lego Masters.
Yeah,
so.
Have you watched that?
I mean, I tried watching it. I didn't like the way they had it formatted, so I just turned it off. I think it was on after the Super Bowl, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. There's a guy from Michigan on that show. Downstate, down by like Hillsdale area, I saw a thing about.
When I use Legos, I'm good for about putting 3 blocks on top of one another, and then my design skills like end right there. Okay, I've got no skill set when it comes to carpentry, fixing things. I leave that to Jen. But when Legos, like what the heck are those? I don't even know how to use Legos.
Have you seen those people build those big skyscraper replicas with Legos and stuff? I could never do any of that stuff. Never could do it at all. You and I are in the same boat.
I've been to the Lego store at the Chicago Water Plaza Mall.
Okay.
It's outstanding. They have all these Star Wars characters and whatnot. And speaking of Legos, little transition here. I want to wish my cousin Anthony Z, the king, the future of the family, happy birthday. He was 1 this past week. So Friday was Anthony's 1-year birthday. And yesterday we celebrated with the familia. Everybody was there. The King, AZ, Chris Jacks, everybody, G Money, everybody was there. It was just a great time, and Anthony is 1, and he's just such a great young man.
He's a great young man. He's a great little boy is what he is, isn't he? He's just a kid.
He's awesome.
That's cool. That's really cool. Did you get him some Legos for his birthday?
He's got everything. Trust me.
He's got
everything.
He's got
everything.
All.
No, when I say everything, he has everything. It's crazy.
Where does he put it all?
Big house.
Okay.
Happy birthday,
yes,
cousin Anthony. Happy birthday.
Hey,
Craig.
Hey, Todd.
When we come back from break, because I'm sure you're going to tell everybody we have to go to break, right?
Yeah. Yes, I am.
I have a great idea, and I want to share it with our 25 listeners when we come back.
Our 12 Amish listeners, too?
And our family.
And
exactly.
our family. Okay, gotcha. We'll take a break. We'll be right back on the Todd L. Levitt Law Show.
What happens when out of the blue, the world rediscovers a prehistoric plant with the power to help heal our planet and the people who live on it? What happens is a worldwide green rush, a race to produce products with the natural benefits of hemp, a no-holds-barred game of King of the Mountain. Everyone's looking for CBD they can trust, but most haven't gotten past CBD 101. That's where we come in. At Green Farms, we relentlessly breed and refine our plants and seeds to thrive in diverse climates with maximum performance. And we define our success by how agile we are in our laboratories as we pursue innovation and perfect our extraction processes. Planting, growing, harvesting, and extracting the highest quality plants is our life's work, and we're ready to show the world how it's done. Our medical farmers are itching to fertilize the good intentions of independent farmers all across our country to build a new green coalition. Come grow with us at greenfarmscbd.com.
Welcome back to the Todd L. Levitt Law Show. Coming back strong once again, Craig Russell, with moving up into my all-time top 10, Green Day. Oh, yeah, originally scored by the Queen herself, Joan Jett.
And her Black Hearts. That's a great song. We got to say hi to Gavin, by the way. Much like we have to take a shot drink when we talk about Lato, we got to say hi to Gavin when you mention your top 10 list. So,
yeah, also, big shout out to one of my favorite people of all time, Mr. Cody Freeman. Good man.
Okay.
He carves just the most insane, amazing figures out of wood. He's a wood carver. And Cody's up there towards Prescott here in the Mitten State, and he's best friends with Eugene and Jane and the whole art family up there. So big shout out to all the folks, and especially Cody Freeman. We love you, Cody, and we will be seeing you soon. A big shout out there, Craig. Huge shout out.
Yes, Cody, I want to say a big shout out to you, Cody. And now, what is this big idea? You've piqued my interest, and I want to know what you're talking about. What's your big idea?
Okay, so last week I'm shopping at one of the big stores, and here in the middle of the Mitten, in the Great Lakes state of Michigan, pure Michigan, baby. And, you know, I'm all about humans. I don't do self-checkout. And on this occasion, regardless, I had probably 50 items in a cart, so you know it's basically overflowing. So I'm walking up and down looking for the best aisle to check out in, you know. And when I look to check out, I'm always looking for a cashier who looks to be smiling, who's moving fast. And sometimes it's hard to see because there's so many people there. On this occasion, I really couldn't see, so I just picked an aisle where I could, you know, that looked short. And as I'm standing in line, behind me, it was almost like a stampede to a rock show. People started lining up behind me, and before I knew it, I was pushed in towards a conveyor belt, so there was no backing out. So whichever line I chose and whomever the cashier turned out to be at that moment, I was stuck with that person. Okay. So I'm the person behind the person who's checking out. And the cashier looks at me and I say, "Oh, hi, how are you?" Sort of trying to warm her up so that she does a good job, you know, scanning and bagging and help me get out of there. And I mean, she barely broke a smile, Craig.
Oh, God.
And I'm thinking to myself, I've got a great idea. If there was a way to leave an emoji at the back of her aisle in regards to my experience so that other people I mean, I'm sure the store wouldn't be happy about this, but I mean, she would not have gotten a happy face that day. I'm telling you right now, she would have gotten one of those like angry emojis with the eyes and the arms to the side and the face all red. There should be some kind of something that lights up like at a casino. Where you have the ability, because they ask you everything else. Would you like to make a donation? I mean, how's your service today? Do you have any coupons? Would you like to add 3 cents for this, for that? How was your experience today? How about adding an emoji so people in the back can see exactly what they're getting up front?
I could take that one step better. All right, here you go. You want an idea? Here's a money-making idea. You
didn't like mine?
Oh, I liked yours. No, I liked yours. I think... Yeah, but this one might even actually go a little better. So you've been a teacher before. You've been a professor at CMU. You taught law, correct?
I didn't teach law. I taught other stuff in the College of Business. That's
okay,
correct.
but you still were a teacher, correct? And isn't there some website where kids can give honest reviews of teachers' performances and if they like a teacher or not? There's some website, isn't there?
There is.
Okay. What about that for grocery store employees? An app that you could look and go, all right, who are my choices today? It's Gloria, Johnny, and Kelly. And Kelly gets great reviews because she's happy all the time. I'm going to Kelly's line, not to Gloria because she's a sourpuss, and Johnny wants to kill somebody. I'm going to go to Kelly's line. You know what I mean? Some kind of thing where where people could do a crowdsourcing thing. People could fill it out and say, I had a great experience with Kelly. You should always use her. Then you go into that, the app shows you stores in your area. You go to that store and you pick one of the employees and you go, that's the one that I want to go for. And it'll even tell you if they're working or not. I think that's
I like my emoji idea just a little bit better. So before you even enter aisle number 17, the person who's checking out gets to put an emoji towards the back where you start to walk through and they can see whether or not that cashier is worthy of checking you out that day. And, in all fairness to cashiers, think about this, Craig.
Oh, I know.
They are on their feet all day. Yeah. They're moving this way. They're moving that way. They're bagging groceries. They're taking money. People are in a rush. I mean, that's a thankless job for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Bagging groceries. But
think about it. Think about it this way, Todd. It is a thankless job. But think about it. Not every customer is a gleaming ray of sunshine like you are. Think about it. For every one person who's like Todd, who is nice and happy and smiling and trying to cheer up the cashier, there's 10 people who are gloomy Gusses who are coming through complaining about everything, and those cashiers have to put up with it all. So it is a thankless job.
Well, here's the thing, though. I can appreciate that. So this actually happened to me a couple days ago. We were at the grocery store, and there was a lady in front of me, and she was one of those miserable customers. And then when it came time for her to put that stick or that separator on the belt so I could start to put my groceries on, she put it all the way at the end. There was enough room to put a number 2 pencil on there. And I said to the lady, what am I supposed to put, a candy bar on that? What am I supposed to put, Rolos on that little spot right there? I said, you could have waited a moment so I could fit some, a big box of cereal on that little conveyor belt. I mean, don't insult me like that. If you're going to put that little marker down, give me some space to put my groceries on. Don't imply that I can only fit a little teeny candy bar on that space or a now and later. I know we're reminiscing today. Remember the now and laters? Those were great candies.
Rolos. You actually brought Rolos up. When's the last time you had a Rolo?
I don't know. It was the only thing that I could think of geometrically that could fit in that little tiny spot that lady gave me. But hey, Craig.
Hey, Todd.
Speaking of the law, because we are a law show,
right?
Something you said a few moments ago in regards to the grocery store app,
yes,
and the cashiers contained in the app triggered something that I received a call about. Throughout our country and probably the world, but at least in this country, in the state of Michigan, if you're an individual who is arrested, booked, photographed, and printed, within 24 hours, your mugshot is going to appear online.
Yeah.
There's a whole bunch of different people out there probably don't want me even talking about this because of their employers. And I understand that, but we are a law show and we provide information to the general public. There's an app out there, and it doesn't matter who you are, what kind of job you have. Once law enforcement snaps that photo, I'm not sure how these companies pick it up that quick, but it's online.
Exactly, it's online. And now, is there ever a situation where that's an invasion of privacy at all, or is that all public knowledge?
It's all public.
That's crazy. I'm glad I don't have a. As far as I know, I don't have a mugshot out there. But there's an app for that. There's an app for everything when it comes right down to it.
I guess, you could use, there's two sides to this coin.
Right.
Well, look, that person shouldn't have made a poor choice,
right.
Consumed alcohol, got behind the wheel of a motor vehicle and flipped it into a ditch. He or she wouldn't have ended up in jail in the first place. But on the other hand, again, you just put yourself in a position of somebody who, look, we've all made poor choices before. And, as soon as you're booked, boom, it's online. There's also apps that show you who's incarcerated in which county jail. So I know a number of individuals, and they'll call me and say, hey, Todd, did you know so-and-so just got picked up? And it's like, how do you know that? I mean, who spends all day just watching those things?
I bet you the app has a notification. It'll say if anybody's been picked up in this zip code or this, this area, it'll send you a notification who it is. Most people probably just, go past that. But if you see a name that you recognize or know, then that's probably how you get part of it. But
when we were younger and we were paper boys, because we delivered the Detroit News for years.
Sure.
And I recall getting up on the weekend, 6 o'clock in the morning. It just sucked, to be honest with you.
Oh, yeah.
My mom had to take me to 9 and Coolidge, to some back of some store where I had to, at least Sunday mornings as well, where I had to put all the comics in the Sunday papers. Those were the heaviest newspapers back in the day, when you had to stuff the comics in. And I just recall, Radio Shack always had a free flashlight. So as a paper boy, I had like 20 flashlights sitting around my garage, because obviously I got the comics before the customers did. But yeah, those were some good old times, Craig.
They definitely were good times. And talking about that app you were talking about, how you can find out about people, you know how you always hear about people like a Florida man did this or a Florida man did that. It seems like everything always happens in Florida. You know why
What are you picking on Florida for, Craig?
Well,
Can't you say...
I'm not picking on it. That just happens. All these stories. A Florida man, wrestled an alligator and tried to pour beer down its throat or something like that. The reason you see all those weird and wacky stories from Florida, it's not just because there are weird and wacky people in Florida, but it's because Florida's laws, all these police reports end up being released like 24 hours, much like you said about the mugshots. These police reports get all released to news media all the time. So these places can pick up on those odd stories. And that's why you always see all the Florida. It's not that there's any wackier people in Florida doing things than anywhere else in the country. It's because they release them all in Florida. That's their law. It's weird.
Interesting. Quite interesting for sure.
Hey, Todd, we got to take a break on the Todd L. Levitt Law Show. When we come back, should we talk about some more law?
Yeah, we do have some law lined up. Absolutely.
All right, we'll do that. We'll take a break. We'll be right back.
What happens when out of the blue, the world rediscovers a prehistoric plant with the power to help heal our planet and the people who live on it? What happens is a worldwide green rush, a race to produce products with the natural benefits of hemp, a no-holds-barred game of King of the Mountain. Everyone's looking for CBD they can trust, but most haven't gotten past CBD 101. That's where we come in. At Green Farms, we relentlessly breed and refine our plants and seeds to thrive in diverse climates with maximum performance. And we define our success by how agile we are in our laboratories as we pursue innovation and perfect our extraction processes. Planting, growing, harvesting, and extracting the highest quality plants is our life's work, and we're ready to show the world how it's done. Our medical farmers are itching to fertilize the good intentions of independent farmers all across our country to build a new green coalition. Come grow with us at greenfarmscbd.com.
Face
Welcome back to the Todd L. Levitt Law Show, broadcasting and podcasting from the Black Diamond Group Mothership with my good friend Craig Russell, the muscle, the hustle. How you doing, Craig?
I'm doing fan-frickin-tastic. How are you, Todd?
You know, I am just stoked, and we talk about it each and every week. 420 Canna Hemp Expo is just blowing up. It's exploding. The exhibitor floor is filling up. This past week, I think we added 20 new exhibitors to the floor. And, of course, last week on the show, we had Green Farms with Blake Maddox and Jonathan Page, the third on. We'll be having them back on the show. That was a huge show. I'm so stoked that Green Farms is going to be just representing at the expo. But in the next couple of weeks, we'll start announcing some of the other exhibitors, but you can find it online. And if you or someone you know is interested in exhibiting a service or a product that's related to the cannabis industry, hemp, CBD, security, insurance, law, look us up online at what's the website, Craig?
420cannaexpo.com. That's where you can find out all about the venue. It's at the Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort, the largest casino east of the Mississippi in the United States. And you can find out about Mount Pleasant. You can find out about if you want to come and you're staying the night or something. You can find out about stuff going on at the casino. There's usually concerts and things happening. Of course, the casino has got its own thing going on with the gaming floor and everything, but it's a great venue. And we're there on the 18th of April this year. It's 4/18/20, but since it's still 20, we can still call it
free to the public, Greg.
That's right.
Free to the public.
Free to the public. So check out 420cannaexpo.com to find out information about if you want to see keynote speakers and if you want to get more information about coming to the event. It's going to be a great time. And, you're talking about our podcasting, and we podcast all across the country. That show last week, we've gotten more response and more great emails from people with questions. So the next time that those guys come back on from Green Farms, we've got a slew of things to ask them about that people have been interested in. Those guys just did a great show, had a lot of great information, and we're looking forward to the expo. It's going to be fantastic.
Yeah, another big shout out to Vivid Farms, a great organization, a great farming organization, gives a lot back to cancer patients. So Vivid Farms, and big shout out to all the Dutchers. There's a lot of Dutchers in and around Mid-Michigan, Beale City, Mount Pleasant. So big shout out to T. Dutcher and actually Tony and Tyler Dutcher, actually just terrific young men, great family. I've known Dutchers for decades, and ran into some Dutchers last week, and wanted to give them a big shout out. They informed me that they've listened to the podcast here and there.
That's awesome. We're getting more and more people to listen to the podcast. Normally you can hear this on 98.5 UPS in central and northern Michigan, or you can hear it on the TuneIn app if you listen to the radio. But you can also get the podcast on the TuneIn app. You can get it on Apple iTunes. You can get it on SoundCloud. You can get it on Libsyn. You can get it on Podbean. You can get it on iHeartRadio. You can get it on all these platforms. Really, all you need to do, go to your Google browser and type in Todd Levitt Law Show. Bam. You're going to find us somewhere where you can hear the latest episode. And people are listening all over the world, are they not?
Oh, they are. That's for sure. And in 2020, I just love saying 2020, we have huge expectations that reefer madness is going to finally come to an end. And something that's kind of disappointing and disturbing, and I get all kinds of information because of the show and people who are listening. More and more companies who may not, for instance, be involved in the direct manufacturing or selling of legal cannabis products, yet maybe smoke shops or other service providers to the industry, are finding it extremely difficult to do banking online, to take, obviously there's no debit or credit cards that are allowed, it seems, in the industry. I'm sure somebody out there is going to tell us otherwise. It's just really difficult. A lot of the internet service providers are booting people off, and it's even more and more difficult for a lot of companies out there who, by the way, as I just said, are not licensed cannabis companies. They're not dispensing, they're not processing, they're not growing. For instance, the expo company, these expo companies that put on these large expos, you wouldn't believe what they go through trying to find banking sources, trying to find, companies that will take a debit or credit card. Once these banking institutions find out that these companies do business with other companies that may be involved in the production, processing, testing of cannabis products, they kick you out. They boot you off. And it's almost like cat and mouse, whereby, there are some individuals, they'll come up with the name of a corporation and then they'll have to change it. Then they'll have to change it again. And it's really time consuming and costly when you have to keep reincorporating or rebranding a name just so you can set up banking in this industry. So, I mean, if there was one thing that I would say to our politicians, and we're not a political show, get off your asses and do something about this. I mean, seriously, just do something about this. Not only at the state levels, but it has to start at the federal level. And we should have somebody on from the banking industry soon. How's that for a great idea, Craig?
That is a great idea. Now, my question to you is, sir, most banking institutions don't want anything to do with cannabis, no matter if it's a legal cannabis state or not. For what reason? What's the rationale?
Well, again, I mean, we've said it, 10,000 times. Marijuana, aka cannabis, is still a Scheduled I drug under the Controlled Substance Act. So it's still federally illegal, albeit all the states have exercised their sovereign rights. We've talked about the Cole memos and the Department of Justice, over the last couple of years. But until Congress and laws change at the federal level, this is going to continue to be an issue. And it's, to me, as an attorney and an advocate, and the two of us who do this show, to me, that's one of the biggest issues out there that needs to change immediately, amongst everything else. Don't get me wrong, but this is a painful one amongst many.
The reason I bring that up is because that's exactly correct. The reason there's such a problem in the banking industry with dealing with cannabis and cannabis products is because it is illegal federally. And all banks are insured by the FDIC.
Federally, that's right, the FDIC,
the
correct.
Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation. So here's my question. There are a lot of celebrities and there are a lot of big companies that are getting involved in the cannabis business, correct?
That's correct.
I mean, we can go run right down from your Snoop Dogg's and your Martha Stewart's and your Seth Rogen's and your Joe Rogan's and people like that to just people who have a lot of money who are getting involved in the cannabis business. You would think one or two of them would say, you know what we're going to do? We're going to start our own banking industry, and we're going to have it be separate from the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation. We're not going to worry about federal. We're going to back up these businesses so they can do legal banking and screw the federal government. You really wonder why somebody who is big into the cannabis industry, who's got a lot of money, doesn't just say, you know what, we're going to just do this. And we're going to bypass that whole federal problem, start our own banking business. Because you immediately would have a very captive audience. You've got people who want to bank and who want to open these businesses legally in legal states, and they want to use banking products. And there are some credit unions and some banks that are just kind of looking the other way and doing it. But you would think somebody would set up and say, you know what, we're just going to do this, and I'll just back it, and we'll just make sure it works. Because you figure most of the time it's going to be not going to be a problem. You really wonder why that hasn't happened yet.
I'm pretty sure that has happened and is happening. There are institutions out there that I have heard of and am privy to that charge $500 a month in banking fees to allow cannabis type of businesses to use their financial institution. $500 a month.
That's a lot
for fees.
Yeah.
Is that outrageous?
It is.
But again, but here you have a credit union that is taking a risk with the federal government just hovering over them. But there's a lot of fine banking institutions out there. We've talked about this over past shows that are and have allowed funds to come in. They're just keeping quiet about it. But the one that I was privy to, and I had information about it one time, and I don't know if they're still around, $500 a month banking fees to do business with them.
Somebody like Jeff Bezos, who's worth $300 billion, why doesn't he just say, hey, here's a couple $1 billion, go start a banking industry. We'll charge everybody a flat $99 a month fee for this, way better than $500 a month. We'll cover everybody up to $100,000 like the FDIC does, but we'll just do it ourselves and just take care of this problem. You know what kind of money those somebody would make off that? Billions, because there's
right, but then again, why would Bezos and even the depositors want to take a chance that with that high profile situation that you just described, that the federal government's going to come down, shut it down, and before you know it, you don't have access to all that money that you've poured into that institution. I mean, there's just so much risk out there, and the simple solution is the House of Representatives need to. And I'm sure, I know there's things that are stirring there, the Banking Act. I mean, there are some things taking place with some bipartisan legislation. I haven't looked in a minute how far it is, but I think Cory Gardner out of Colorado was introducing legislation in regards to the Banking Act to change all this. And I do feel within the next, I know this isn't soon enough for some listeners, within the next, let's just say 3 to 5 years, you're going to see some changes at that level. If
it's not an issue on this ballot, I'm sure by the time we get to 2024, this will be a bigger issue. I have a feeling as more states come online with legal cannabis, not just medicinal, but legal recreational cannabis. Eventually, when you've got half the country who has legalized this product, at some point, somebody's got to stand up and say, you know what, maybe we need to do something about this. But it might not be for a while. That's true. Look at all the progress that these states have made in just the last 20 years. How many legal cannabis states were there 20 years ago?
Yeah, how many were there?
Yeah, I know. It probably was zero. And look
where we're at. Yeah,
and then look where we're at now. So even though 20 years is a long time, a lot of progress has been made, and it's just a snowball effect. It's just going to be getting bigger, and there's going to be more progress. It's going to, like you said, it's probably going to be slow.
We definitely need to have somebody on the show in the banking institution.
Agreed.
That's a great idea, Craig.
I think we should. That's exactly right. Hey, we got to take a break on the Todd L. Levitt Law Show. We come back, we'll wrap the show up right after this.
What happens when out of the blue, the world rediscovers a prehistoric plant with the power to help heal our planet and the people who live on it? What happens is a worldwide green rush, a race to produce products with the natural benefits of hemp, a no-holds-barred game of King of the Mountain. Everyone's looking for CBD they can trust, but most haven't gotten past CBD 101. That's where we come in. At Green Farms, we relentlessly breed and refine our plants and seeds to thrive in diverse climates with maximum performance. And we define our success by how agile we are in our laboratories as we pursue innovation and perfect our extraction processes. Planting, growing, harvesting, and extracting the highest quality plants is our life's work, and we're ready to show the world how it's done. Our medical farmers are itching to fertilize the good intentions of independent farmers all across our country to build a new green coalition. Come grow with us at greenfarmscbd.com.
Welcome back to the Todd L. Levitt Law Show, broadcasting and podcasting with my good friend Craig Russell, the muscle, the hustle. Craig, how you doing, my man?
I'm doing good. Hey, I've got a question for you. Have you ever heard of those things called TED Talks? Those things are like on NPR and podcasts.
I have. Yeah,
TED Talks. We had to do one called Todd Talks. We had to do Todd Talks because you are just
How are we going to do Todd Talks when we have like 25 listeners of this show and we've been doing it for 10 years?
I don't know, but you've got so many good ideas You were just telling me off the air about one of your ideas that you have. What's another idea? The first one was the emoji for the grocery store one. What's your next idea?
I like bananas. Potassium's really good for you. In fact, it's supposed to lower your triglycerides. Don't take any medical recommendations from me. But I love bananas. And whenever I go to the grocery store, I'll buy certain types of bananas, and you're always buying 5 or 6 to a batch, right? Well, usually I'll bring them home and I'll eat 2, maybe 3, and then the other 2 go bad, and then maybe somebody wants to make banana bread out of them. But why can't they genetically do something so that banana trees or wherever bananas grow, I'm assuming on a banana tree somewhere in the tropics, that they're just growing 2, no more than 3 at a time, so that when I'm at the grocery store, I could pick up 2 or 3 and not have to discard the other 2 or buy the 5 and only use the 3. So I know it's a quirky idea, but that's my banana idea.
Now, I'm going to tell you this. Do you
agree with me on that, Craig?
Well, from time to time, I work at Target and I stock the bananas. You can just take one of those batches of bananas and just pick off 3 of them and just buy 3.
I can't do that. You know why?
Why?
No, because it's like the show we did a couple weeks ago where I think people are judging me if I'm not taking a grocery cart and putting it back in a grocery cart corral. I don't want someone seeing me, rip off 3 bananas off a batch of 5. First of all, I don't even know if you're allowed to do that. Is that allowed? Is there a law against that?
Not at all. You can do that anytime you want. I mean, there's. When we put out bananas, they come in bunches of sometimes they'll come in 6, but sometimes they only come in 3. We put out a variety of them. Where we get our bananas from, I have no idea where it is. They're all like Chiquita bananas. But they come in, sometimes there'll be 6 of them, sometimes there'll be 4, sometimes there's 3. And then there's a little tray at the bottom of the banana. There's a little tray at the bottom of the banana. What? Todd?
How many times over the last 20 years that we've been friends that you can't use certain words that are going to trigger musical tones or tunes in my head all day and night? You just said Chiquita bananas. Now that Chiquita banana jingle is going to be going off in my head all day, Craig. And after the show, Big Here and I are going to Cabernet. We're getting our snowboards. We're going to shred the gnar. And I'm going to be hearing, I'm a Chiquita banana and I'm here to say. I mean, that's all I'm going to hear all day.
That was my goal. My goal was to stick a Chiquita banana jingle in your ear for an earworm.
I appreciate that.
That was exactly
that.
That was exactly it. Now, when you buy your bananas, isn't there like a little tray at the bottom of the banana hanging thing? That's where people will put the extra bananas. Sometimes there's a single banana here or there. Buy your bananas out of that. Then you only buy 3 separate ones, and then there you go.
What fancy stores do you buy your bananas in? My bananas are just
Target.
I don't buy bananas at Target. I buy bananas where I buy bananas, and there's no fancy schmancy trays. They're just sitting on top of each other like, a bunch of like a sack of potatoes.
Seriously, man, just pick 3 off and go with it. I don't think anyone's going to judge you.
Hey,
for
Craig,
buying 3 bananas. Yes, Todd. Yes.
I mean, I know we've just had a show about nothing today, and once in a while we do that.
Yes.
But we are a law show, and, next week and the weeks coming up after that, we've got a lot of great guests coming on the show, a lot of people who are going to be exhibiting and speaking at the 420 Canna Expo on 4/18. It's free to the public at the Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. So be sure to check that out and make sure you tell all your friends about it. But we're going to come back strong next week with some serious law. I mean, we're going to have so much law, people aren't going to know what to do with it.
It's going to be a law lover's dream, if you will.
Yeah. And by the way, after the show of all shows, I'm going to be filling out these applications. So in the next couple of weeks, don't be surprised if you receive like a bunch of different cassettes or albums in the mail like you did when you were a kid.
I hope I get some 8-tracks in the mail. That'd be great.
Yeah, give me some 8-track tapes.
That'd be great. And a cassette and some cassettes. Can you give me the latest Van Halen on cassette? That'd be awesome. I would love that.
Yeah, you got that. It's coming your way.
Columbia House, here we come. Hey,
Columbia
Todd,
House, here we come.
Todd, I hate to break the news to you, but the show is over.
Come on, Craig.
Come on, Todd. We got to go.
Come on, Craig.
Come on, Todd.
We got to go, don't we?
We do. The show's over.
Show's over. Hey, we're not here for a long time. We're here for a good time. Take us out with my all-new top 5 of all-time Green Day. Oh, yeah. Same time, same place next week. See you, Craig.
haters to the sound of the voice of the traitor. Dirty looks and I'm looking for a
The Todd L. Levitt Law Show, brought to you by Chad Malley Well Drilling of Rosebush, Clark Modular Homes, your most experienced and trusted builder in Mount Pleasant, and attorney Todd L. Levitt, not just a litigator, he's an advocator.
Opinions expressed on this radio program do not necessarily reflect the views of this radio station.